Thursday, March 21. When God does not delight in sacrifices. Read Psalm 40, verses 6 to 8, Psalm 50, verses 7 to 23, and Psalm 51, verses 16 to 19. What important issue do these texts address? Why does God not delight in the sacrifices that he prescribed in his word? In Exodus 20, verse 24. Exodus 20, verse 24 reads, "An altar of earth you shall make for me, and you shall sacrifice on it your burnt offerings and your peace offerings, your sheep and your oxen. In every place where I record my name I will come to you, and I will bless you." So we read Psalm 40, and we begin at verse 6. "Sacrifice and offering you did not desire. My ears you have opened. Burnt offering and sin offering you did not require. Then I said, Behold, I come. In the scroll of the book it is written of me, I delight to do your will, O my God, and your law is within my heart." And Psalm 50, verses 7 to 23. "Hear, O my people, and I will speak, O Israel, and I will testify against you. I am God, your God. I will not rebuke you for your sacrifices or your burnt offerings, which are continually before me. I will not take a bull from your house, nor goats out of your folds. For every beast of the forest is mine, and the cattle on 1,000 hills. I know all the birds of the mountains, and the wild beasts of the field are mine. If I were hungry, I would not tell you. For the world is mine, and all its fullness. Will I eat the flesh of bulls, or drink the blood of goats? Offer to God thanksgiving, and pay your vows to the Most High. Call upon me in the day of trouble. I will deliver you, and you shall glorify me. But to the wicked God says, What right have you to declare my statutes, or take my covenant in your mouth, seeing you hate instruction and cast my words behind you? When you saw a thief, you consented with him, and have been a partaker with adulterers. You give your mouth to evil, and your tongue frames deceit. You sit and speak against your brother. You slander your own mother's son. These things you have done, and I kept silent. You thought that I was altogether like you, but I will rebuke you, and set them in order before your eyes. Now consider this, you who forget God, lest I tear you in pieces, and there be none to deliver. Whoever offers praise glorifies me, and to him who orders his conduct aright, I will show the salvation of God. And Psalm 51, verses 16 to 19. For you do not desire sacrifice, or else I would give it. You do not delight in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and a contrite heart. These, O God, you will not despise. Do good in your good pleasure to Zion. Build the walls of Jerusalem. Then you shall be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offering and whole burnt offering. Then they shall offer bulls on your altar. Like the prophets, the psalmists decry various misuses of worship. Their main point in these verses is not the Lord's aversion to Israel's sacrifices and festivals, but the reasons for such repugnance, the fatal distance between worship and spirituality. God is not rebuking his people for their sacrifices and burnt offerings, but for their wickedness and acts of injustice that they had done in their personal lives, as we saw in verse 8 of Psalm 50 and verses 17 to 21 of Psalm 50. The Psalms are not preaching against sacrifice and worship, but against vain sacrifice and empty worship, demonstrated in the unrighteousness of these worshippers. When the unity between the outward expression of worship and the correct inner motivation for worship falls apart, rituals usually become more important in and of themselves than does the actual experience of drawing close to God. That is, the forms of worship become an end in themselves as opposed to the God whom these rituals are supposed to point to and to reveal. Read John chapter 4, verses 23 to 24. What point is Jesus making here that fits exactly with what the Psalms for today are warning about? Jesus speaking in John chapter 4, "But the hour is coming, and now is, when the true worshippers will worship the Father in spirit and truth. For the Father is seeking such to worship him. God is spirit, and those who worship him must worship in spirit and truth." Sacrifices alone are not enough. What good were these sacrifices if the hearts of those offering them were not filled with repentance, faith, and a sorrow for sin? Only when accompanied by repentance and sincere thanksgiving could the sacrifices of bulls please God as sacrifices of righteousness, as we read in Psalm 51 verse 19. We also can see this in Psalm 50 verse 14. "Offer to God thanksgiving and pay your vows to the Most High." Jesus, quoting Isaiah, expressed it like this: "These people draw near to me with their mouth and honour me with their lips, but their heart is far from me." Matthew 15, verse 8. The problems the psalmists saw were the same problems that Jesus encountered with some of the people, especially the leaders, during his earthly ministry. And so to finish the day, how can we make sure that we, as Adventists, with all this light and knowledge, don't fall into the trap of thinking that merely knowing truth and going through the rituals of truth is enough? This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.